There was a time in Israel's history when the people were caught in a painful cycle. They would forget God, turn to their own ways, and slowly drift away from what was right. Trouble would follow. Life would grow hard. And only then would they cry out to God for help. This story takes place during one of those dark seasons. After the death of a leader named Ehud, the people of Israel once again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. Because of this, God allowed them to fall under the rule of a powerful enemy named Jabin, king of Canaan. His army commander was a feared warrior called Sisera. Sisera was ruthless. He commanded 900 iron chariots, machines of war that crushed everything in their path. Against such power, Israel stood no chance. For 20 long years, the people lived in fear. They were oppressed, discouraged, and helpless. Roads were unsafe. Villages were abandoned. Hope was fading. Finally, the people cried out to God. And God answered. At that time, Israel was being led by a woman named Deborah. She was a prophetess, meaning God spoke through her. She was also a judge, a leader chosen to guide the people when no king ruled the land. Deborah would sit beneath a palm tree between Ramah and Bethel. People came to her from all over Israel. They brought disputes, questions, fears, and confusion. Deborah listened carefully. She judged fairly. And most of all, she trusted God. Deborah saw what many others ignored. Israel's greatest problem wasn't just their enemies, it was their distance from God. One day, God gave Deborah a clear message. She sent for a man named Barak, from the tribe of Naphtali. When Barak arrived, Deborah spoke with confidence. God had commanded him to gather 10,000 men from the tribes of Naphtali and Zebulun and lead them to Mount Tabor. God promised to draw Sisera and his mighty army to that place, and to give them into Barak's hands. This was a direct word from God. But Barak hesitated. He looked at Deborah and said that he would go only if she went with him. If she did not go, he would not go at all. Barak believed God's message, but fear still held his heart. Deborah agreed to go with him, but she spoke honestly. She told Barak that because he would not step forward in faith on his own, the honor of victory would not belong to him. God would deliver Sisera into the hands of a woman. Barak accepted her words. Together, they gathered 10,000 soldiers and marched toward Mount Tabor. When Sisera heard about this, he called out his army and rolled his iron chariots toward the battlefield. From a human point of view, Israel was outmatched. Foot soldiers stood against iron machines. But God was about to fight for his people. When the moment came, Deborah spoke with authority. She told Barak to rise and go forward. She declared that this was the day the Lord would give Sisera into their hands, and that God himself was going ahead of them. Barak led the charge. Suddenly, chaos broke out among Sisera's forces. The mighty army fell into confusion. The chariots failed. Panic spread. What once seemed unstoppable collapsed in moments. Israel pressed forward, and Sisera's army was defeated. Sisera himself fled on foot. He ran until he reached the tent of a woman named Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. Jael welcomed him inside. Sisera was exhausted and thirsty. He asked for water, and she gave him milk. She covered him with a blanket, and he felt safe. Before falling asleep, Sisera asked her to stand guard. If anyone came looking for him, she was to say no one was there. But Jael understood the moment. She recognized that God was bringing justice and deliverance. While Sisera slept, she quietly picked up a tent peg and a hammer. With courage and determination, she struck. Sisera was defeated, just as Deborah had spoken. When Barak arrived searching for Sisera, Jael led him inside and showed him what had happened. The enemy of Israel was gone. That day, God humbled Jabin, king of Canaan. His power weakened until it was completely destroyed. After the victory, Deborah and Barak lifted their voices in song. They praised God for his faithfulness. They honored those who stepped forward in courage. They remembered those who stayed behind. And they gave glory to God alone. Because of Deborah's leadership, Barak's obedience, and Jael's courage, the land had peace for 40 years. The story of Deborah reminds us that God can use anyone who is willing to listen and obey. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite it. And true victory does not come from strength or weapons, but from trusting God. When others held back, Deborah rose. And through her obedience, a nation was restored.